Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh yeah.
What's up? My name's Timmy Joe, making videos about computers on the internet. We got here a case review. I've used this case for my personal build, my editing computer, for the better part of 3-4 months, since way before Christmas, and I'm going to be switching it up, I'm going to be changing it up, and after 3 months of use of this case, I figured I would do like a follow-up video and kind of show, because I did show this case in the beginning, never did a full review on it or overlook or anything like that, and I got some things to say about it, and I figured, hey, before we dismantle it all and it goes in a box or somewhere, you know, a different build or something like that, just bring it up. So here we go. The EQUILENCE. Sorry, I don't. Enermax, your names. That's a weird one, but you know, it's a full-on mid-tower case. It's got some water cooling support. It's actually geared toward more like the silent type. Doesn't come with RGB or any crazy lights or anything like that. It's really solid, and it's meant to support, you know, some silent computing, and kind of some thought has been put into that. But we'll talk about the performance of that in just a second. So, as we see, it does have one, counted one, boof. And let's go ahead and do this dramatic thing where, you know, you're going to take off your, oh God, big gripe with this, okay? This isn't a case that I'm going to be building in to replace my build. That's how easy it is to take the freaking panel off. I want to put it back on. I know you can barely see that. It was one-hand operation. I had to take 4 thumb screws out, and then even some cases do this better, where they have little, you know, feet or grabbers at the bottom that allow the glass to kind of pivot on it. This just falls out. Now, there is some foam tape or something that's been put around the edges of the case to, you know, if you get all these thumb screws in there and seal them up to put, you know, some silence into this case, because, of course, glass is an insulator. You know, so there's that, and it's you know, pretty dark. So this got some pretty bright LEDs in there, which the fans have none to begin with. So, you know, whatever. You're not going to be seeing much in this case. This, you know, is pretty tinted. But I've got a Ryzen 7 1700 in here, clocked to whatever gigahertz, and, you know, 32 gigs of crucial ballistics memory, blah blah blah. The cooler is you know, the pretty cool Chromax stuff that's 2 giant 140 mil fans blowing out the back, and we'll get to that in a second too. And another comes with one, the case, 140 in the back, that's just kind of a regular old black fan, nothing special about it. It's got 2 120s in the front, and it's got a kind of a weird, like, it does have water cooling in mind, but it's weird that they mixed a lot of things in here when they should have went with, like, all the way with one or all the way with the other, or have like 2 versions or something like that. Just in case you're wondering, the back panel is not glass. It is this pretty cool, like with sound dampening material in it, back panel that's just plastic. It comes out rather nicely on kind of a hinge, so there's no worry about that. And then the front panel here, you'd think that might be glass. It is black, clear, or whatever, black acrylic that is not see-through, sorry. You cannot see the fans that you house in the front here at all. It does have these like little Enermax lights here, and it does pop off fairly simply, but there's no ventilation at all in the front. It's coming through the sides of this front of this case, and the fans are housed inset, so there is room to move around in there, and then the soundproof coating is actually in the inside of this too, so that's why it's not see-through. And this is held up pretty nicely, considering it's like a shiny black plastic. A lot of times acrylic, it like scrapes up pretty easily. I don't see that it's done that. When I cleaned it, it looked pretty good, in good shape. And I've had this thing moving around quite a bit. You could put 240 mil rad or 280 in the top here, and there's this other panel that comes out, and then, you know, you could exit that way. But in my opinion, there's a real oversight. In the box, there's no like dust filter or anything to replace there, so it's just going to be, you know, honeycombs up there if you want to exhaust stuff at the top of that. If they had included like a magnetic dust filter or something that kind of improved the aesthetic when that thing's on. This does have magnets in it, which is pretty nice. And then the inside of the case, it's pretty big. You could put a big rad in the front, you know, 380 or whatever, and it's going to be, or 360, it's going to be no problem, 380. And it has a little basement area that it goes in there, and there is a dust filter in the front there, so there's that. But you know, other water cooling support, there's plenty of room to mount, you know, some pumps and stuff in here. If you have decent, you know, forethought into building into this thing, it would be a pretty easy water cooling build, as you see in this video running through here. There have been lots of people building water cooling setups in here, and I've seen this thing at like CES or at Computex or something like that, and it had all the RGB fans you could ever want in it, and it doesn't come with any. It's another like whole thing. If you want, Enermax does sell them, but they're not included in this thing, and I think that would make this case at its price point a lot more attractive, which we will talk about in about 2 seconds here. I will replace this glass again. So, if it's geared towards silence, is it silent? Well, you know, they boast about the features and stuff like that. You see, you can put fans kind of on a sideways thing there. I don't know. Just put your SSDs there. I don't know why you'd want to vent air in kind of halfway through the side on that weird way, or mount an AIO there. It kind of seems like they just were trying to come up with something different to do. But anyways, yeah, you fit lots of graphics card. I've had two in here twice. I've had two 7970s. I've had, you know, this big Fury in there, as well as another card while I was mining. So there's lots of room for dual GPU support. The basement, you know, will do really nice for cable management. There's lots of tie downs in the back for cable management. There's, you know, stuff like that. But like you see, I don't know why you'd put fans on that part, because the air is going to suck from not only the front, actually it'll barely come through from the front, it's going to come from the back, you know, panel while you're hiding all your cables, and it's going to come from this, like, you know, the inside of the case. So I don't know why you do that. Anyways, so, you know, build this thing for silence, don't build it for aesthetics. Build it all up nice. It did a really good job of blocking sound out. My only gripe with the sound issues is the back is wide open. There's a whole bunch of honeycombs in the back. You know, see? And when it's facing the back, you hear the, you know, big, you know, Chromax cooler blowing out the back, all 340 mil fans. It's audible. But that's because I had this thing facing so that it was exhausting this way, just the only way it would fit when it was kind of over here. I've redesigned a few things around here with some forethought of putting a nice computer in the corner I don't touch, or, you know, change graphics cards out on. It's just kind of always being pretty in the back, and that's what I video edit from. Yeah, I heard it a little bit, but there's also a really nice built-in fan controller. There's a button on the front, on the top here, sorry, that will allow you to go through 3 different modes of speed on up to 6 fans. It's included as a 120s in the front, 140 in the back, and yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it for the silence factor. It's not like I could, you know, it was annoying me that you could hear the fans out the back of it. It was more of a, you know, I have some giant cooler in there that's making a little bit of noise when, you know, things were silent in here. But all in all, for $139.99, is this the best case option in that range? Well, I think that's a lot cheaper than any Be Quiet cases or Silverstone cases or cases geared towards silence, and that's what they were thinking. But at that price point, there are a lot better options for aesthetics wise, and had they thrown the RGB fans in at that price, freaking awesome buy. Had they done one extra little, you know, thing, one little more thrill and thrown it in here, sure. But at its core, it's pretty bare bones meat and potatoes case that $130 or $140 American on Amazon is questionable on whether that's the best thing for you. It'll be up to you on if you want the silent and not worry so much about the aesthetics. So I'm at Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. I thank you very much for coming along with this wonderful ride. Just wanted to do a little summation on the Equilence. I keep saying it wrong. God. And I'll see you guys in another video. And we're going to do some awesome builds. I'm going to do a build with the Ryzen 1700 in that case back there with just a hell of a lot of RGB and make it look all pretty in the corner there. It's going to be fun. As well as just always tons of content coming up on the channel. As a little teaser, that's my most recent purchase. Stay tuned for that. That's a real 980 Ti that I bought on eBay. It was the best price to performance kind of high-end card I could buy. For under $500. So we'll get to that in a second, in a couple videos or whatever. But I'm Al Washington. Join us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching. I encourage you to go check me out on Twitter, as well as I have a Patreon. It always helps the channel. Avoid putting ads and crap up there if you support me on Patreon. And yeah, here's a look at the Equilescence. I give it a 4 out of 5 because that last bit, a little bit too expensive, and maybe, it looks good, but it doesn't look great. I'll see you guys later. Woo!